Welcome to the Carmen Sense Realty Show.
A common sense approach to real estate, and today we have a very special edition to talk about Kurt.
Yep, I'm Kurt Boomer Schenk from The Right Creative with our real estate expert and star, Carmen Lonardo.
Hi, from RE/MAX Realty Group.
Yeah. And it's our, hate to say it, it's our pandemic podcast.
Yeah.
Try not to make a joke because we're
kind of hoping this goes viral, though.
Stop it now. That's enough. We are 6 feet apart. So thanks to Fitz at Rock Vox here that he can keep people safe and still get a podcast done. So
yeah, good stuff.
He's got it going on. So yeah, as I said, it's our pandemic podcast and lots of concerns about real estate.
Yeah, so we're hoping to dispel some of the misinformation that's been going around about real estate and showings and how to get your house sold right now and how long this might last, and is the market just in the tank permanently? What's going on? There's a lot of uncertainty, in the larger economy, and real estate's no different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
now, if someone does have to contact you, because frankly, some people will have to sell their homes because they're being relocated or for other reasons. How do they contact you before?
So the easiest way is text or call 585-233-4119. Or my email address, carmen.lonardo@remax.net. And you can see that right at the bottom of your screen now, right? Hopefully, so you can write it down. Yep. Well, and I guess while there isn't an awful lot of activity going on right now, what I've been telling my clients, because I keep in contact with my folks regularly, is that we're here to provide information. We're a source of information for you. We don't just, stick a sign out in front of your house and get it sold. We're information resource. And that's what we're going to do here today is kind of get some information out about the coronavirus and what it's done, not necessarily the virus itself, but how it's impacted our local real estate community. Right. Yeah.
And from a little research before the show, that some materials you sent me, I mean, February was pretty good, and other than the usual, not a lot available.
Yeah, but
banks are strong, the market was strong, and then everything has been turned upside down. So tell everybody what is going on with the market.
Well, not to use an overused term, but what we really have going on is a pause pause in the marketplace. And we're all at home, and we've all been directed to stay home and practice social distancing. Before all of this hit the fan, if you will, locally, the market was just churning along. Some properties were starting to come on the market. February was a fantastic month, year over year, and I think it was, if I heard correctly, it was almost a banner month compared to other Februarys. And the spring market promised to be very active, and all of a sudden we put the brakes on it. So what's really going to happen, I think, based on what I've been hearing and reading, and I point specifically to a couple of podcasts that I heard with Dr. Ben Carson, who is the commissioner of HUD, and Dr. Lawrence Yoon, who is the chief economist with the National Association of Realtors. The spring market is still going to happen. Housing is still very robust and still a very necessary part of the economy. The question is, are we going to have a spring market, May, June, or are we going to have a spring market August, September, or, into the fall? Right. So there is going to be a delay. And, the demand, once the ban on the real estate activity gets lifted, the demand, I think, is going to be more exacerbated. You have a lot of pent-up buyers and sellers right now, and I think that our real estate activity is going to take off. So patience is the key right now.
And if we're, we all do what we're told to do, that we, the hope is that this will be temporary, like South Korea and China have turned around in a few months and are starting to get back to normal. So real estate will do the same.
Right. Exactly.
And I don't know if it was Yoon who said, or somebody's said an interesting thing that, the stock market has lost 30%, but home values have not changed a bit.
So in the last couple of weeks, the stock market, dropped 30%, and that's some scary stuff. But the value of your home hasn't gone down 30%, right. You're absolutely correct. And that still continues to be one of the best investments, and one of the best way for just your common Joe to build wealth, build asset, right? So I think Dr. Carson said that the average net worth of a homeowner is about $200,000. The average net worth of renters is about $5,000.
Yeah.
So that's a huge difference.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So
sure is.
But let's talk a little bit about how this has impacted us, how this pause, how this sheltering in place has impacted us. The lifeblood of our industry in home sales is showings, right? Mm-hmm. And if you can't see a house, can't show a house, it's very difficult to buy it. And so the licensed real estate community has been banned from showings, any person-to-person interaction, no open houses, nothing of the sort. The tough part is that there wasn't a vacuum and all of the listings went away when this ban took effect. We still had listings that were on the market and that we were actively marketing. And so we've had to be very creative in how we get those sold. I've got a listing in Webster that I just sold yesterday. Got it under contract. And we had to be creative. I had a represented buyer who called because their agent said, "Well, look, I really can't show you the house right now because we've got this ban." So I've talked to Carmen, and as soon as the ban is lifted, boom, we'll get you right in and take a look. Well, she called the other night, kind of doing an end run around her agent, which you should never do, so asked about this home, and when I asked her if she was working with an agent, she said yes, and so I called the agent to get permission to work with her and so forth. But the short of it is, I was able to instruct my seller on how to connect with the buyer on their phones by video. And so he basically took her through the home with a virtual tour of the home because she was interested in the layout and so on and so forth. And next thing you know, a couple hours later, an offer, shows up on my email, and we got it under contract. Yeah.
Wow.
So
it's just going to be a virtual world. Basically.
Well, that isn't a perfect scenario
right now.
Yeah, I mean, for right now, it works just fine. Long term, we hear a lot about virtual reality and so forth, and it's being used successfully in some industries. I just don't think that right now and, in the foreseeable future, which might be a couple years, I don't know. I just don't think that it's part of our DNA yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
At least with, buying a house. That is, it's a huge.
You want to go in and smell it. I just have to say that. You really, I mean,
right. And
do
then
we have smokers here or what?
And until we figure out how to do, smell-o-vision, that's not going to be easy. One of the things too that has been suggested to me by some clients is, well, look, if somebody wants to see my house, just tell me, and I will, we'll make arrangements. We'll set up a showing, and they can come through without their agent. You don't need to be there. I'll just leave the door unlocked for them, and they can do their own tour. Well, that's highly discouraged. Number one, the state has not rendered an opinion on whether that is a permissible activity or not. And our local real estate board is suggesting and advising that we do not conduct showings in that manner. And you know what? I got to tell you something. It's not really smart. I mean, do you really want people who may or may not be a legit buyer now, right? Traipsing through your house, unsupervised, right?
True, and these are uncertain times, and those people might have a completely different intent.
That's right.
Which would be lifting things from your house.
They have a different agenda, like toilet paper. Right? So, on a limited basis, if we are creative, we can figure out how to do showings. I'm losing my...
Yeah, you might want to prop those back up. There you go.
My ears here.
All right.
You know what it is that staying at home, I'm glad that the camera probably isn't picking up the lower half of me.
Right.
I've been eating, because I go to the fridge every 5 minutes. And so as a result, I'm sure my head has also gotten, larger from all of the food that I've been eating. And so now these things don't fit as well as they should. Creativity.
Speaking of getting into a house, how about home inspections then?
Well, with the initial ban by the governor a couple of weeks ago, home inspectors were deemed a non-essential activity, and so that was not allowed. However, since then, I know of a couple of inspection outfits who have applied for an exemption to the ban, and they've been granted. So we are able to get home inspections done on a limited basis. Now, I talked to one company, and the owner said to me that they will do them, but we don't want sellers there, we don't want agents there. Agents can't go anyways. We don't want the buyer there. We will go in. We will probably wear some kind of protective gear. So that we don't expose ourselves to any kind of danger, and we'll do the inspection that way. Take lots more pictures than we normally do. Maybe take a video if there's something that catches our attention that the buyer should know about.
Right.
And do it that way.
Right.
What's also could really just like put a brake on the sleds is closings, because we can sell and sell and sell and sell, but if we can't close it, then it really doesn't do any good.
Right.
Closings, from what I understand, have been able to continue. We are able, as part of the executive order, the notarized, what are we doing? What are these things called? There's actually a word for it, but where we are able to do notarizations remotely.
Okay.
So you don't need to be in front of, in the physical presence of a notary public. And so that is assisting with the whole, signing process, the virtual signing process, and doing closings remotely. And virtually. So that activity, fortunately, is continuing.
So what have you seen with the banks then? How are they dealing with this?
The banks, financial institutions have, right from the get-go been deemed essential activities. And so they've just been, churning along as they have been. Yeah.
Good.
Now, keep in mind that lots of those people are working at home.
Mm-hmm.
And because of where interest rates have been lately, the banks are just like swamped with refi activity.
Right, sure, they're low.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So
it may take. So you might expect what would take a few months. Last year's going to take a little bit longer.
It might take a little bit longer. That's right. Yep.
What about things like movers, things like that too? I mean, if you have to sell.
Transportation. As a matter of fact, we got a case now where I've got a deal that's supposed to close this week, and the sellers are actually moving to Canada. And so the question was, number one, will they be allowed to enter the country?
Borders,
right. Yeah. And what about their stuff? What happens to their stuff? Well, the whole transportation industry has been deemed an essential activity. So movers are part of that whole industry. And so they're able to go into a house, obviously with some protections,
sure.
and, pack up the truck and drive it to wherever it's got to go. Fortunately enough, these sellers are Canadian. They're Canadian citizens, so they will be allowed into the country, but then must spend 2 weeks in quarantine or 14 days.
14 days.
14 days in quarantine. So we sort of lucked out there because they've got a place to go. Because I represent the buyer, and while we want to close on the house, we also don't want to displace his family.
Right.
Where are they going to go?
Sure.
The back of their, Pinto, right?
Pinto?
Well, yeah, the car, not the horse.
Thank you.
Right.
Pinto. 1976.
Hatchback.
Yeah. All right. We had one in the family, and it rusted out like you wouldn't believe.
A Ford Pinto. Didn't they had a gas tank problem, right? If they got hit just right, they would blow up.
Yes. And there was another car in the 60s that did the same thing that I can't think of the name.
Yeah, me neither.
So, anyway.
I wasn't driving in the 60s.
No, nor was I.
Yeah. I keep hearing that, little chuckle in the background, by the way.
Yeah. I don't know. That's right. We do have a guest here who is not on camera.
No, because he's skipping school.
Yeah, that would be Jack.
Right.
Hello.
And say hi, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
Jack's in 6th grade, and this is week 3 now of your isolation. You're not having to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
How you keeping yourself busy?
Yeah.
Doing work.
Doing work.
Well, trying to.
Trying to do work?
Yeah.
Yeah? Like what? Like homework? Schoolwork?
Schoolwork, yeah.
Yeah? What do you think about all of this stuff? This is a moment in history. This is something you'll be able to talk to your grandkids about.
Mm-hmm. It's hard for students because it's a different style of learning, and it's hard for me because I'm not that kind of learner. I'm a social learner. Like the teachers teach you the lesson, and then they give you something to do, but they're there teaching you, so you can ask questions right there. So since it's mostly independent work and the teachers are just emailing you, it's pretty hard to understand most of the stuff that they're giving you. Yeah.
Well, just got to keep working hard. You'll get it.
Yeah.
Right.
You'll be fine. And you know what? It brings up a point, just as an aside, as our lives are changing and people are, there'll be more people working from home and there'll be remote, conferencing on Zoom. But I'll tell you what, there's one thing this is proving, that teachers are really important, and being in the classroom is really, really important. Remote learning is fine, but it's not the whole thing. I mean, you really need to have interaction with a teacher.
And there's a difference there. I mean, is it teaching or is it learning? And
right.
Right.
Exactly.
So
it's a good point.
All right. Well, thanks, Jack. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for chiming in, Jack.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you think there's something important you want to say, just raise your hand. We'll get you back in. All right.
All
right. Cool.
All right. Come back. Anything else you want to wrap up on the real estate side of this before we do something a little bit different?
Yeah. So we've seen, we I don't know, list about 200 in the busy period. We list about 200 properties for sale in our area a week. And we've seen a precipitous drop, obviously, in that activity. If your home is on the market, then I would say, we use the creativity, we use the virtual tours, we do what we can to get your home sold and get it marketed the best we can, given the current set of circumstances. If you are wanting to sell your home, unless there is some big compelling reason to get it on the market now while we have this mess going on, you really ought to hold off, because using those methods really isn't an ideal way to get your home sold. The other thing that you've got to realize as a seller is that once your listing hits the market, you want as many eyeballs as possible looking at it. You have a what's called a window of opportunity there, which is about a week to 10 days, and then the looky-loo activity starts to fall off drastically. So right now we've got a lot of buyers that, for whatever reason, have taken themselves out of the market. They're not working, so there's uncertainty there.
Right.
There's the possibility not to work, next week or the month after, so that is uncertain. It's just when stuff like this happens, it just takes us, I think, psychologically into a different place.
Right.
Right,
sure. Yeah.
and makes us think.
Totally.
It makes us think about preservation and self-preservation as opposed to buying a house.
Right.
So my point is that if you were to list your house right now, you do yourself a disservice because it isn't going to be widely exposed in the marketplace. You've got a limited number of people, honestly, chances are you're going to get a hit on the price because
not as much competition as there was a month ago.
That's right, exactly. Right, and because of uncertainty, those people that are in the marketplace, are potentially looking for a deal. Right. So, unless there is some compelling reason, you need to sort of just wait and be patient and follow your agent's advice.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, especially with people at home too, now's the time to really spiff up your home inside, get it cleaned up, get it painted. Neutral color throughout. No
bright pinks and fluorescent oranges.
So get it ready for when the market turns around, and this too shall pass, folks.
This too shall pass,
and things will.
On the spiffing up note, there's two things. We interviewed a great lady back in the fall time, Tracy Dietz. With her home staging business, and she gave us some great tips back around October, November. If somebody would like to re-see that show while you're looking for home projects to do, let me know. I can send you the YouTube link, or you could probably find my YouTube channel and pick it up there. But I'm happy to send it to you again if you'd like it. And also, we did another show with her just recently, and we are going to be publishing it not in the too distant future. So look for it because that'll give you some ideas too on how to spiff.
Yeah, she's sharp. She knows what she's doing on how to stage a home.
Yeah,
I mean, she's got it. So
she sure does. Yep.
And again, with everybody being home a lot more than usual and with family, people are getting creative in the kitchen. So it's now time for
Carmen Cooks.
So, what are you doing in the kitchen?
I am cooking and cooking and cooking and cooking, and it's followed by eating and eating.
Me too. There's like a path that has gone to the fridge now between the four people who live in our house. I think the flooring is going to need to be resurfaced.
Redo the flooring,
yeah. So, but I've been seeing it on social media.
Yeah.
A lot of people baking.
Yeah. Well, so it's kind of interesting because, it's Easter, Passover.
Eastover. Yeah,
Eastover,
it is.
right?
Yep.
and so people are generally baking anyways. And it's interesting because there's no it's no coincidence that at the grocery store, like all of the baking flour is gone, and you can't find yeast. Because if you look on Facebook, everybody is like making bread, right? And you got these,
it's crazy.
These no-knead breads, and you got this orange cranberry bread, and somebody made some raisin cinnamon banana bread or something like that. So I find that everybody is cooking, everybody's baking, everybody's doing things that kind of bring families together. And, that's all neat stuff. So, I guess, the Carmen tip on Carmen cooks for this episode of Carmen Sense. They say Carmen 3 times in one sentence, right?
Yeah, well, you just did. Talent.
There we go. I guess the tip would be to, cook, open up the pantry, find some stuff that you haven't dealt with in a while, look up some recipes. We've got the internet, Google something, make something. If you got to run out to the store to grab something, make sure you do the social distancing and, wipe your hands and, and so forth. And it's all cool. And, I guess on an ending note, in a more big picture, one of the things that I think would all help us is to just please take this seriously.
Yes, please.
Take this seriously. This is a moment in history. It's tragic what's happened, and it has impacted everybody on this planet one way or another. So let's be cool and get this over with. Right.
And honestly, we hemmed and hawed about doing this episode a lot, and but we really felt it was important to ease some fears and really clarify what's going on and what is really happening in real estate and what to expect, because it's just been fed by misinformation. So that's why we're here. So how do we get in touch with you, Carmen?
585-233-4119, or shoot me an email at carmen.lonardo@remax.net. Thanks to Fitz over here at Rockbox.
Thanks for sanitizing everything and letting us keep our distance. He always does a great job and makes us look better than we really are.
Well, and it's interesting because, what I'm also seeing, since people are at home, and, not to take up too much airtime here, but a lot of people are doing this stuff like,
shoddy off their phone.
Off their phone, at their kitchen counter. So, and they're posting it, and you know what? It looks like you did it in your kitchen, so if you want something quality like we do, because we take this seriously, you got to really come to a place like Rockbox.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
You know what? I also got to make a plug for, one of my favorite people, Kurt Schenk here from the Right Creative.
RightCreative.net.
Honestly, this could not happen without Kurt and, his talents either. So
appreciate it.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Well, great. And if you enjoy our podcast, please subscribe and rate us on your favorite podcast platform. And I am, again, Kurt Boomer Schenk with The Right Creative with Carmen Lonardo. And this is the Carmen Sense Realty Show.
A common sense approach to real estate.
And we'll see you again soon, folks.
So long.
Stay healthy and safe.
Bye now.